I said I wasn't going to make this video, but I am, I guess. I am taking the 50 most popular commanders of all time, and we are going to decide if they are cool or if they are cringe. And I will tell you which on this list is the coolest commander and which is the cringiest commander. Let's ruin someone's day. Welcome back to Sadgic the Gathering. I am still Cringe, and I am still your host. And guess what?
It is happening again.
This video is very simple. EDH-Rec has a list of the top 100 most popular commanders of the last 2 years, kind of all time, if you will. And in my last video, we did the top 25, but now in this video, we are going to do numbers 50 through 26, and we are going to determine which of them is cool and which of them is cringe. As a reminder, here's my criteria. If the commander is overpowered, unbalanced, has a sort of one-note type of gameplay, is obnoxious, and has a sort of unearned way to win, I'm probably gonna call it cringe. On the other hand, if a commander is dynamic and unique and offers more than one way to build it, promotes creative, distinct gameplay that gets a lot of interaction, probably call it cool. I know that at the end of the last video, I said that I wasn't gonna come after anyone's commanders anytime soon, but you guys just love that one so much that I said, why not? Let's do it. I do want to say that in my last video, I rightfully got called out for just sort of being uneven or inconsistent in some of my ratings, right? There'd be similar commanders and one would be cringe or one would be cool. And I didn't give a good reason as to why that was the case. And so I will attempt to be a little more judicious and a little more consistent this time around. And I appreciate the feedback. That being said, I'm an idiot, so it's probably going to happen again. As a reminder, this video is not about CEDH. This is a Weenie Hut Juniors only list. And I promise if this video does well, I will get to the top 100, okay? Just
don't rush me.
So should we dive into this thing? Shred someone's favorite card?
Nothing bad can happen. It can only good happen.
Number 50, Korvold, Fey Cursed King. We're starting out strong. He is cringe. For one specific reason, permanent. Not creature, not artifact, permanent. What else are you going to sacrifice besides a treasure that has built-in sacrifice? Maybe food, maybe a clue, but that just makes it worse, right? You get massively rewarded for utilizing tokens the way that they were already meant to be utilized. There's no ceiling, there's no downside, and there's sadly no balance. There are so many cards to pick that make this just broken and kill on sight, and sadly, it's cringe. 49, Hashiton, Scarab's Fist. He's cool, actually. I initially thought that he was a little over the top and annoying, but paying 3 mana and needing to discard a creature to get a 4/4 tapped body actually feels kind of fair. It's a really neat sequence that does require some patience and some setup, but the payoff is very thematic and it's very interesting and it's very intimidating. Easily one of the most unique and cool ways you can do zombie tokens. 48, Crick, Son of Yawgmoth. More like Cringe, Son of Yawgmoth. All right, this guy knows what I'm talking about. Every game I've played against Crick goes the same way. He lands on the board. You dump your entire hand onto the board. You do whatever you want. You make the entire table feel like George Michael. And then the game is over. Look, I am all for commanders that really start the timer on the game and kind of become the arch villain quickly. I think that's cool. I just think that Crick does it a little too fast and a little too aggressively. And look, I'm sure you guys have a ball running that deck. You know, how could you not? But it sucks to play against. 47, Atla Palani, Nest Tender. Cringe. And I feel really bad calling her cringe because I think thematically she's really cool and really fun. But the egg into a free creature just feels maybe a little boring and a little OP with the right setup. This is green and white, so of course you're going to be running your token doublers and triplers, and you're going to have an army of 0/1s to multi-block with. And you're just gonna dump like half of your deck full of dinos and dragons and whatever onto the battlefield. And that's cool, but it just doesn't feel very nuanced or exciting to me, and I'm sure it's fun to play. It's just not for me, but I do get that it would be someone's favorite deck, totally. 46, Tom Bombadil. Cool. cool. For the most part, any Saga commander is gonna get a stamp of approval from me. They are unique and vast, and I feel like underappreciated in Commander. The hexproof indestructible thing is pretty rough, especially in the late game. But I think the fact that his other ability has a once per turn clause kind of can balance it out so that it doesn't just feel like you're getting steamrolled. If for nothing else, it's a great way to collect all your favorite sagas, and the deck is just going to be cacophony of interaction and events going on. It just seems very fun and a lot going on and kind of chaotic, and I feel like that matches him. And I have a weak spot for Loader, I'll say that, but I like this deck a lot. 45, Caesar, Legion's Emperor. Cringe, I guess? I don't know. Maybe not. Look, it's not terrible. I think it's somewhere in the middle between cool and cringe. I know it only triggers on attack and sack, but getting 2 triggers off of that is kind of a lot. I don't know. I think of all the ways that you can build this, and it's doubling combat, it's getting a ton of cheap tokens in there, getting some doublers in there, and I don't know, picking off your opponents one by one, which sounds fun. I think I just maybe don't like that the deck feels like it's trying to do so much. It ends up just feeling kind of messy, from tokens to drawing to sacking to burning. It just doesn't know what it wants to be, and I think that bugs me. But it has modality and it has flexibility, and I like that. So I think we'll give it a pass, but maybe help me in the comments understand if it's cool or cringe. I don't know. 44, Brea, Ethereum Shaper. Cool. This to me feels like the right way to do an ability like Caesar, the last commander. I love the way it's set up, and I love the mechanics of making it work and do a lot for you. With 4 colors and the artifact angle, I can see why this is so popular, right? But talking about a commander that has an earned way to win, or that requires a really good pilot, I feel like Brea is that, right? She sort of takes off the autopilot thing and says, what are you going to do with me? And I like that a lot. I feel like that's so cool. I like that she's open-ended and has a pretty steep cost to get her ability off the ground of sacrificing 2 things and paying 2 mana. And the abilities are ones that will definitely help you get ahead, but won't steamroll until the late game. And again, I like that you can build her in a few different ways. I think for that reason, I am actually going to call Brea ultra cool. 43, Ariete of the Charmed Apple. Cool. This commander is very mean. Locking you out of the game and draining your life is very cruel, but this deck is just too unique to be cringe. It's a really cool design space where you're juicing up your opponent's stuff and sort of creating a pseudo goat effect. And all the while you're pilfering their life. I think that's just sick, honestly. But it's super risky, because if she's not on the battlefield, then you're kind of giving your opponents the game. It's a delicate build, but it's got great colors, and I think it's really cool. 42, Teysa Karlov. Cool. The progenitor and mommy of aristocrat decks everywhere. Look, every play type needs a poster child, and for sacrificing, she's it. I said it before, and I think I do want to stand behind it. I really like doubling effect commanders. There are definitely ways to make Teysa brutal, but on face value, she's balanced and focused and strong. There is so much support for a commander like this. I do think outside of a few key staples, you can really make this deck your own. No doubt that she can be vicious, but I don't think that she's too evil. 41, Gearson Starn Kelemorph. Cringe, so cringe. I have a visceral reaction whenever I see someone is playing Gearson Starn. This deck is the equivalent of your 7-year-old cousin at a family Christmas party, vocally stimming the word skibbity toilet all night long. It's just chaining together the most annoying pinger spells, one after another, after another, after another. It starts slow and small, and then it just builds to this maddening crescendo that just makes you want to give up. And it's got Ward 2, which just makes you even more incensed when you go to deal with it. I want you to think of the person in your play group that runs this deck, and then I want you to imagine how much happier you'd be if they had duct tape on their mouth. I'm sorry, Gearson Starn players, you're fine. Well, you're good. You're good. We love you. 40, Tevel the Balanced Scale. Cool. I like that this deck does a lot while still feeling very focused in what it wants to accomplish in the long run. It's got the right amount of fairness with an attack trigger and a one or more clause in it, but it's got enough freedom for you to win the game in style and strength every time. It's a mill source, it's land recursion, it's a token factory. It's great. And the amount of cool, unique support that they built for it in the Tarkir Dragonstorm set just makes it so this deck can be so thematically fun and beautiful. I'd recommend this commander in its precon any day of the week. It's awesome. 39, Marin of Clan Neltoth. Cool. There's not too much that I want to say about Marin. She's very straightforward. She does what she does really well, and she's got the right color. At worst, you're bringing something to your hand. At best, you're bringing something to the battlefield, both just once per turn. I love a commander like this because so many different recursion and graveyard strategies can be built under her. But she doesn't always need to be on the battlefield for you to win with her. She's an OG graveyard commander. You kind of got to give her her due. 38, Valgavoth, Harrower of Souls. Cool. Valgavoth is uncomplicated and effective. It wants you to chip away at your opponents piece by piece while you're slowly gaining advantage and momentum. But it's not off the rails, you know? I love how unproblematic it is in just being a vicious table. And I love that this card was designed to work well with so many cards throughout Magic's history. You can dump so many fun, unique things in here and it will work. And flavor and art-wise, I think it's one of the coolest commanders on this list. It's a villain that you just love to hate. 37, VV Ornithir. Yeah, this one's ultra cringe. I really don't like this fella. In my world, you can either tap your commander for a ton of mana, or you can swing with your commander for a ton of damage. You don't get to do both.
This is the way the world works! Why? I don't know.
At least you don't get to do both without a ton of setup and patience and timing. And Vivi just says, here, have it all. It's disgusting and it's violent. And the fact that it's counters and not like a temporary +1/+1 boost is just so over the top. If you run this card and derive joy from it, then may the Final Fantasy gods have mercy on your soul. 36, Voya, Jaws of the Conclave. Big time cringe. Oh my gosh. There are so many things wrong with this commander, but let's go through it. First of all, this is no good. This is no good. Next, juicing up everything on your board based on the number of elves you control, the most abundant and maybe popular creature type in the game. That seems fair, right? And finally, you can just draw your whole deck based on the number of wolves you have, which is going to be a lot because, again, that's a pretty easy creature type to come by and create. Are we kidding? Voya players, good luck trying to defend yourselves on this one. I'm dying to see what you say in the comments because I can see arguments for other commanders. There's nothing you can say here that's gonna make it better. I'm sorry. 35, Mr. House, President and CEO. Cool. This is probably one of the most unique commanders on this entire list. I love games within the game, and this deck just feels like the best way to play with yourself. You know, this guy knows what I'm talking about. There are so many weird dice cards in the game that you can just stuff into this deck. And it's one of the weirdest token outlets ever, but it's one of the coolest token outlets ever as well. I'm always excited to see people playing it. And it's a flavor bomb, you know? Who doesn't love to gamble? We're Magic players. 34, the Necrobloom. Cool. This card is kind of a masterpiece. Taking a very broken land card and reworking it into a very strong, competitive, and super flavorful commander is really, really cool. It's one of those commanders that just feels like a love letter to the players. And landfall decks can very easily become a headache to deal with, but I feel like it's fairly reasonable and manageable here that doesn't get too crazy until the end of the game when it has a right to do so. And the Dredge 2 ability is such a fun, risky play that works really well here. And I like that this deck is probably just a home for all of your expensive, fancy lands, which are usually the most beautiful cards anyway. In a game with a million graveyard decks, this one feels really distinct, and I like that. 33, Ren and Stimpy, inseparable. Cool. This card is such a great example of taking sort of a goofy, flavorful idea like cats and dogs and turning it into a really viable, strong commander. It's narrow enough that the deck obviously wants very specific cards, but I like that it will eventually sort of force you and reward you for running commons and uncommons of cats and dogs and getting big payoffs from that. I love decks that let you play cheap cards and have big turns. I think it's really punchy and it knows what it wants to do. And if left unchecked, it'll win the game. It's quirky enough to fly under the radar, but strong enough to be the threat. 32, Arcades the Strategist. Cringe. I do feel bad putting it in cringe because my buddy runs an Arcades deck and I've played against it dozens of times, but it just doesn't feel good. It discourages the soul and it damages the mind. Swinging at people with half a dozen 9/9s on turn 4 is a war crime. Any game playing against Arcades just feels like chopping off the head of the Hydra. You get rid of one, something's going to come to fill its place and just build up even bigger and bigger until you're just overwhelmed. You can't deal with it. Everything costs like under 3 mana, and that is so mean and brutal. It's a really cool way to play, and I get why people like this. It's just so hard to deal with. 31, Shorakai Genesis Engine. Cringe. I know why you're running Shorakai.
I know what kind of man you are.
You don't want to pilot him. You don't want to honor the legacy of Gundam and Neon Genesis. You want to abuse his draw and token ability, you sicko. Look, I actually think he's pretty cool in theory. I just think that he is a vehicle for unbalanced card draw shenanigans. I've lost so many times to this commander before there was any board state to speak of. I probably just need some therapy. 30, Animar, Soul of the Elements. He's cringe. For Animar's cost, there are just one too many lines of text, one too many things that he's getting to feel fair or balanced. Giving it protection from the 2 best removal colors in the game is such an eye roll for me. And the ease of getting counters is so over the top. Again, if it just had one less sentence, like it didn't give counters in that way, or it didn't have that protection, I just feel like it would work. Animar feels like it was made by someone with a grudge, honestly. It doesn't work for me. 29, Balin the Haymaker. Cringe? I don't know, maybe not. Look, I just hate that you token players think you're so innocent. What? I'm just making a couple 1/1 creatures. What's the big deal? I know what you're doing. This deck is pretending to be so innocent, and it is not. It is mean. I guess I do like that this commander doesn't create tokens, right? It makes you earn that yourself. And I like that it's open-minded, right? It can be any kind of token. You can build it lots of different ways. And it's got a pretty balanced scaling from mana to draw, and it only juices itself. It's got a pretty balanced strategy, actually. Okay, I take it back. Balin's pretty cool. I will set aside my blood feud with the token players for a moment because Balin rules. 28, Miss Bumbleflower. Cool. Bumbleflower is the ultimate pace changer deck. If it's on the battlefield, the game is going to be dramatically impacted by her. I have to say, it is one of the most fun group hug decks I've ever played with or played against. And I will give you that if left unchecked, this thing will rock you.
That rabbit's got a vicious streak a mile wide. It's a killer. Look at the bones. Go on, boys, chop its head off. Right.
It almost always controls the game and does become a problem. But it forces so much deal making and politicking and emphatic begging. And I feel like that is where Magic comes alive. And so how can I not love a card like this? If you are looking for a more interactive, wild kind of commander, you gotta give Bumbleflower a try. 27, Muldrotha the Gravetide. Cool. This commander is such a fixture for obvious reasons. It's a pillar, old reliable. It's simple, it's effective, it's got the right colors. It does the thing that like 25% of commanders in the game do, and it does it with clarity and repeatability, and it just works. You can't go wrong. And there is so much strategy for how to build it, right? It's every card type. There are so many different emphases that you can put on building it. You can make it a beast, you can keep it casual, you can make it yours. It's a great deck that reflects the deck builder, which are always really cool, fun decks. If you can keep your graveyard full, it's a deck that usually feels earned when it does well. I like it a lot. 26, Y'shtola Knights Blessed. Cool, but scary. Anytime I see each end step, I clench a little bit, I won't lie. And this commander has a pretty high payout if you can meet its pretty high terms. 4 life on each turn requires a ton of setup, and 3 mana non-creature spells consistently also requires a lot of setup. So there is some room for the table to keep this commander in check. But late game, this thing is mean and it is tricky and it will win. I think it's a very cool open design with really punishing consequences. But I'm still happy to play against it because it is a unique build and I like it. Okay, that is the list. How do we do this time? I feel like I liked way more commanders in this section of the top 100 than I did in the top 25. Do you guys agree? Do you disagree with my takes? I'm totally open to changing my mind if you can convince me in the comments. If I mentioned your favorite commander, tell me if I'm right or wrong. Let's get into it in the comments. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't. I'm really glad you're here. There's so much more to get into. As always, follow Sadgic for more magic. We'll see you next time.